Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.
From St. Louis Public Radio. This is St. Louis on the Air.
In our group, like, some people really put a lot of emphasis on the cocktail list and the execution of that. Some people are like really into the environment, can really have a spirited debate.
And we're going to do this with a bit of a lightning round.
Brightened it up a little bit, and it's really lovely to sit in there. They open at 5, get there at 5. Research for 23 is already underway.
I'm Elaine Cha. For the last 8 years, Sauce Magazine has published an annual Best New Restaurants issue. This year's edition delivers another set that helps hungry diners update their top spots lists, check them and hours of operation twice, and don those elastic waist pants to dig into the goodness that's new in the loo. Sauce also has recs for local bars to quench that thirst for boozy holiday vibes. Here to talk best new restaurants and seasonal drinks is Sauce Magazine's executive editor, Meera Nagarajan. Meera, it's great to have you with us today.
Thank you.
There are 8 restaurants on this year's Best New Restaurants list. In past years, it's ranged between a dozen and 9. How did you come to 8 picks for 2022?
We never set a number up ahead of like doing the research for the list. I think we look at all the restaurants that qualify for our coverage. So if you opened in November of 21 and the beginning of November 2022, then they are in consideration. So we try all those places. And then we have a ranking system because we do rank the best new restaurants from our very favorite to the, they're all great, but we do rank them, and we have like details that we kind of go over to decide where they place on the list. Mm-hmm. But I think that ranking system also helps us to be really specific about what we liked, what we didn't like, what we thought was successful. And I think that additional kind of scrutiny that we put upon those that we're considering also weeds out ones that we don't think fit exactly right for this story. Mm-hmm. So we don't focus on the number. We really just focus on what do we think our readers will really like.
Okay. And you're using this word, we, to talk about these selections. Who is part of that we for your selections this year?
Our editorial team is 5 of us. So Liz Wolfson, Ian Shaw, Michelle Volansky, Lauren Healy, and I, we need a team to try all of these places. Otherwise, it just wouldn't happen. And we spend several months trying places. Usually, we like to go as a group so we can really have a spirited debate about what we think and what we think our readers will like.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that the makeup of that group is reflected somehow in the best new restaurants that you all have chosen for this year?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, everybody has their thing. Some people in our group, like some people really put a lot of emphasis on the cocktail list and the execution of that. Some people are like really into the environment. I love a great environment. That's me. And, some people, everybody has the thing that they really think about the most. So when we're collaborating, we really use each other's strengths to help make decisions about, does it belong for this story, and where does it belong if it does?
Mm-hmm. So without further ado, let's talk about the restaurants themselves. And we're going to do this with a bit of a lightning round. So I will throwing in a little spice here.
Okay, I love it.
After I name the restaurant and location, please give us a quick description of what kind of food it serves.
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 is Menyarui, Northampton neighborhood.
It's a Japanese noodle shop.
Number 2 is Jalea, Main Street in St. Charles.
It's Peruvian with a fine dining edge.
3, Bistro La Floraison in Clayton.
It's a French wine bar but they also have entrees.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's French wine bar with food.
4 is Bar Moro in Clayton as well.
Spanish and Portuguese.
Okay. 5 is Bowood by Niche, Central West End.
It's a brunch, dinner, beautiful patio, pizzas.
6 is Taqueria Morita in University City.
I would say it's Mexican, but it's coming from that Baja region. That's where a lot of the cuisine is inspired from.
All right, number 7 is Fordo's Killer Pizza, City Foundry.
It's Neapolitan-style pizza with some modern updates.
And finally, 8 is Tiger Soup Dumplings in Fenton.
It's soup dumplings. It's soup in a dumpling.
So that wasn't so bad, right?
No, not
okay.
Not
it's a good thing it wasn't a drinking game.
I would not do good at that. I would not be good at that.
For those who did not catch all of those, the list is available in the Sauce magazine issue of the December Best New Restaurants edition. Of these restaurants, Meera, are there a couple that offer menu items that really can't be had anywhere else in the St. Louis area?
Yeah. I think Menu Rui is definitely one of those. They are making their noodles at the shop. Of course, you can get, great quality ramen at a lot of different places in town, but I think that particular detail makes it stand out in a way that, makes it really unique, actually. I think for Jalea there aren't a ton of Peruvian restaurant options in town. And Andrew, with his fine dining background, I think really makes it especially unique. The execution of the dishes are so perfect, and he's very detail-oriented, and his experience really shows that when you're there. I also think that what Taqueria Morita is doing is pretty unique. I think that Aaron Martinez, who is their chef there, he has a ton of experience at fine dining places as well. But he's for the first time bringing his heritage and the cuisine he knows the most into a restaurant setting. And I think the food there, it's not like a taqueria that has, just street tacos, and it's kind of like he's really using his varied experiences to create something different and elevated and special.
So those 3 restaurants, Taqueria Morita in University City, and Jalea in St. Charles, and Menya Rui, those are the ones. And we would like to mention that we are going to be talking with the owner of Menya Rui, Stephen Parsley, on Monday's St. Louis on the Air.
Well, that's great.
So something to...
he has a great story.
Whet the appetite. Sure. The pandemic, it made takeout necessary.
Yes.
It also made getting food for delivery or pickup more convenient. So while the convenience factor may not change, people are now going out to restaurants again. And you had mentioned earlier that the environment is something that you personally really appreciate. So which of these best new picks are truly best as dine-in experiences?
Oh, I would say Bar Moro has such a beautiful space.
And Bar Moro in Clayton.
Bar Moro in Clayton. It's the Spanish and Portuguese restaurant. And they have this beautiful interior. I think a lot of those dishes some of them are meant to be shared. And I think there's like their vermouth and their sherry selection that they have is pretty unique. I would say it's very unique. It's very robust. Their beverage director, Luciano, went to Spain to kind of curate this list. And I think you will totally miss that if you were to get something to go. I mean, you would miss these beautiful beverages that they've found. And I think that's definitely one place that I would not miss going to and experience being there.
Sure. And then on the flip side of that, which ones offer items that can be just as well appreciated at a dining room table or ensconced in a living room couch?
I think Fordo's Killer Pizza, because it's pizza and they've got the pizza boxes and it's in the City Foundry, so it's really more of like, it's a food hall, so it's not really about the comfort of dining there necessarily. It is really like this experience of hitting all these different places and really having a varied kind of dining experience. But they are really good, I feel, at at making great pizza. I've taken it to go and heated it up in the oven at home, and it translates really well. So I would say that one, if you're going to get to go, that would be the one I would suggest.
And that sounds pretty family friendly,
yeah,
too.
Very, yeah.
So you mentioned, again, the experience, and Bar Moro was the one that you noted. But in terms of like overall vibe, is there another restaurant on this list that really rises to the top for you?
Yeah, I mean, I loved Bistro La Florasan. Bar Moro and Bistro La Florasan used to be owned by Zoe Robinson. They used to be Billie Jean and Bar La Frere. And she had such a great knack for creating spaces that are really beautiful. And, and that section of Wydown is so picturesque. And so when Bistro La Florasan took over the Bar La Frere space, they maintained a lot of the charm that people loved about that space and made it their own. They brightened it up a little bit, and it's really lovely to sit in there. And they have great service. I feel like everybody on the floor is really well-versed on the menu, can offer great suggestions, wine pairings. They have 2 sommeliers, I feel like, at any given time that are really there to help guide people into making selections that they'll really enjoy.
So it is very full service in that sense. Okay. Now, earlier this week, we did a segment on low and zero proof drinks, mocktails, as some would call them. Mm-hmm. And for those who do partake in alcohol, Sauce Magazine's got another December list, and this time it's for holiday-themed bars. What inspired the creation of this list?
I think people love a holiday bar, and they are becoming more popular where it's a bar will convert into a holiday bar just for the season after Thanksgiving until, Christmas or whatever timeline they select. But it's growing in popularity. So, and they're notoriously hard to get into, especially if it's a smaller bar. So I think because of the growing popularity, it made a lot of sense. And it was very popular on our website, actually. A lot of people referred to this list online because people want to know who's doing it and people want to know which one they should go to. So that's why we wanted to provide a little information about that.
So is this something that Sauce has done before?
We've never done like a list like this per se, but we've mentioned holiday bars online and before, but this was just a list of places that are doing it now that we recommended. And so, yeah, it is a first to have a list like that.
How much of that do you think has to do with where we are now in terms of the pandemic?
I actually am not that sure. I feel like, a lot of these places are not as fully staffed as they probably want to be. So I think that does shrink down the number of spaces that people can occupy just because you need a lot of people to turn a table and, work the amount of time that it would require to have enough people get in. So I do think like the staff being not as many as they would like does limit how many customers can get in. So I think that's where the pandemic maybe plays into it, but that's just a guess, to be honest.
For those thinking of visiting these spots, you talked about the smaller spaces. So do you have any pro tips on when to go?
I would say go early or late. If you're trying to go to prime time, like
So
7:30,
early in the day.
earlier,
Okay.
like for their hours. So if they open at 5, get there at 5, and don't bring 6 of your friends. Maybe just bring one if you're going to do a walk-in or something. But there are places, at Ballpark Village, for example, it's a huge place. So if I would just look up reservations and see if anything's available. But don't be discouraged if not. I would do a walk-in, maybe on the early side or on the later side of their available hours for that day.
Okay. Looking ahead to 2023, are there any restaurants or bars opening in the next year that you're looking forward to visiting?
Well, Wright's Tavern just opened last week, and they're also on the same stretch of Y down as Bistro La Florison and Bar Moro. And we're very excited about it. We went as a staff and absolutely loved it. So, Best New Restaurants research for 23 is already underway, and we really enjoyed Wright's Tavern.
So the work doesn't stop. It just continues in a different way.
That's right.
Meera, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
This episode was produced by Emily Woodbury. Audio engineering and podcast design by Aaron Dorr. Our production intern is Avery Rogers. Alex Hoyer is our executive producer.
St. Louis on the Air is a production of St. Louis Public Radio. Understanding starts here.
Our podcast proudly supports St. Louis artists by using music from Life Creative Group.
Do you find yourself regularly listening to episodes of St. Louis on the Air? Suggest us to a friend you think might enjoy our conversations, and leave us a review and rating on Apple Podcasts on the App Store. It's the simplest way to help people discover our show. Thank you.
St. Louis Public Radio is a member-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis.
Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, saluting Earth Day on April 22nd with an ongoing commitment to help offset carbon emissions with sustainable harvesting of Missouri forests. Details at choosewood.com.